everybody, welcome back to Michael Clarida Arts. Glad to have you in the studio this morning. We, of course, are on our quest this month of February to do cartoon characters. Some from Disney, some from other properties, and I might even segue over into the month of March to continue cartoon characters because I feel like first I missed a few days, other times I just was overloaded with work, so I think that I need to add some more to the collection. So we will probably be doing cartoon characters in the month of March as well. But today we're going to be doing characters from a movie that is not directly owned per se or developed by Disney. It is, of course, Pixar. So we're going to be doing characters from Finding Nemo. Let's get started. And here we are on my standing digital drawing desk. Now, I started this endeavor doing traditional art on traditional paper. You could consider this to be traditional art in the digital realm, but at the end of the day, a lot of people think using computers and these display tablets is some form of cheating, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's actually harder to use this than it is to use this because you have to learn the software, all the shortcuts. You're dealing with technology that fails, so just to give you context, the computer actually makes things more difficult. But if you're interested in this series, I have done a lot. So started out with some other characters. I believe Stitch. I think Stitch might have been my first. No, Mickey was my first one. And then we moved on to Donald, and then we moved on to Stitch. And these are all traditional using blue line pencil, colored pencil. And I'm showing you this because I like to give context as per the effort and the overall project. Moving on to Goofy. You guys know how I feel about Goofy. He's one of my faves. As I can't turn the page. And then I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and segue over to the digital because I am currently reviewing some technology and my standing drawing desk. Real estate is at a premium, so I moved to the digital format, which we did some Robin Hood. You guys know how I love Robin Hood. And then we moved over to Pinocchio. Pinocchio, again, one of my faves. Overall, just a joy to really do these characters. Pinocchio was a challenge. Figaro was not a huge issue because the simplicity of the nature of the art. And of course we have the Conscience, Jiminy Cricket. Such a fun character to draw overall. So then we moved on to yesterday's fair, which was the Lion King. I talked about how I had a personal relationship with Lion King because back in the day, being a theater projectionist, I had the opportunity to put Lion King together. Multiple reels, traditional film. And I remember on preview night, because we had preview night, it was so good we watched Lion King twice because it was a short film and there are other movies that had to play. And for the time, we actually played this movie twice because other movies were a little bit longer. And you preview multiple movies on Thursday for a release on Friday. Anyway, I digress. So today we're going to be doing characters from Finding Nemo. I do have again, a personal relationship with a lot of these characters because I had the opportunity to work on some stuff for Finding Nemo. Back in the day, I got to do some collectible pins as well as packaging for some of the products for Finding Nemo. And creating the pins, speccing the pins, doing those. And I'm talking about the collectible enamel pins that you put on lanyards and you trade over at Disney. And yeah, I had the opportunity to do that. So that was a lot of fun. Fish. That's what Finding Nemo is the characters are. Now, in terms of subject matter, if you haven't seen Finding Nemo, I'm not going to do a summation or anything like that. Just go ahead and Google it, watch it, or whatever you're going to do, because it is a fun movie for sure, but it has challenges. Nemo is coming of age, of course, and his dad is super protective. I mean, to the point where it's obscene, but it's the ocean. You can get eaten, and he's just trying to protect his family because his wife was eaten, I believe, by a barracuda. Barracuda. And, yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, I just pretty much... Anyway, so Nemo, unfortunately, gets taken by a diver to Sydney, Australia, and, yeah, then it shows one of the main characters, the dad, trying to find Nemo and then experiencing life in a way that he didn't know really existed, because even though he looked at the ocean as being this scary place, he suddenly realized that it also is a beautiful place. And that is the trick of Disney. They sucker you in. And Pixar, right? They sucker you in, and they get you to kind of get your guard down. Oh, that's too far forward. We're going to go back. And then suddenly you realize, oh, it's a heart moment. So I am, of course, drawing first Nemo, one of the main, not necessarily the main protagonist. He is the subject matter of the title. However, I believe the dad is the main protagonist, because he's the one that basically goes through all the adventures. So let's go ahead and get these eyes in here. Being fish, I think there is a propensity to oversimplify, and I think that's probably something that I do. I oversimplify things, and then I go in, not oversimplify, but I do simplify a lot, because I want to make sure and get the anatomy and the pose right, as well as the characterization, because these characters, although simple, they are not simple, meaning they are not stupid or deaf or short or anything like that. They are very complex characters, and you definitely, when drawing them, respect them as such. Yeah, so what we're doing now, because there's nuances in the character. Now these are 3D characters. See, I've already messed up because I've got, need that right about there. That needs to come down. As I talk, I mess things up. So this fin's okay. And actually, it's a little bit wrong. And this one is small. It's his small fin, and that's what his dad basically warns him about, is you can't do things, Nemo, because you are deficient in some way. And of course, the dad basically continues to try to put Nemo in a box, and Nemo's like, you can't put me in a box, Dad. I'm more than that. So, yeah, having a little bit of a challenge here as I mess everything up, because that's what I do. I mess everything up. I'll probably, in just a second, go ahead and do a simple draw over, because I have definitely kind of messed up the volumes here quite a bit. This. Every time I do a character like this, Disney has such a legacy of music in their movies. I'll find myself replaying the songs in my head from the movies. So like the Big Blue World, like that one, sung at the beginning, I believe. Big Blue World. Talking about how their world, although in the ocean, is big. That ocean is big. They talk about so many things in the movie, and it's so beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to do this. Probably going to do this. That one's in the wrong place. Big blue world. I remember going to Epcot Center, not Epcot, what is that? Animal Kingdom. And watching the Finding Nemo show. What a delight that was. What a fun, exciting show. And of course, whenever COVID hit, it stopped. COVID really, so many things that it did to our society. A lot of people lost their lives because of the sickness, because of fear. And that was a very dark time, I think, on our planet. Comparatively speaking, you have the Spanish flu, which killed so many millions more people. So COVID, in and of its own right, was a force to be reckoned with. It didn't kill near as many people as the Spanish flu did back in the, I believe, early 1900s. I think that's when it happened. Millions of people lost their lives. So, but COVID definitely affected, and here I am, yeah, COVID affected entertainment. And it did. I remember it was, what, a year and a half, 2 years of dealing with so many different aspects of the virus. And then, I mean, I lost almost all of my freelance business because the theme parks closed and they weren't ordering anything. And of course, we talked about when the theme parks reopened that there would be a deluge of people going back to the theme parks, and that's exactly what happened. And then my business exploded. So as a freelancer, you do definitely have to prepare for those moments, but I don't think anybody could have prepared for COVID. And I remember when it came down the line that everything was going to be closed, I was like, wow, how's that going to affect my business model? But we've recovered nicely, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. One of the perks of digital, and I'm going to go ahead and refine him a little bit because I can. I don't quite like the eye placement, so we're going to go ahead and refine things a little bit better, I believe. Oops. The eyes aren't completely round. They do have that oval Disney-esque shape. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to do this. A little bit of a come around. Kind of look at the same area right here where it kind of comes to that inner part of the eye. Yeah, kind of compare and contrast where stuff is. Big blue world. The reason why I keep singing that in my head is because I have over in my shop, I've got a radio with a CD player, and I've got the soundtrack to Disney features and rides and shows. So whenever I'm working over there, I can listen to Disney, which is wonderful. So right now, again, I'm just kind of trying to shore things up. There we go. Okay, so now we come over to the periphery. Yeah, so of course Nemo and his dad are clownfish. They are not as affected by other fish, by the sea anemones, not anemones. Is it an anemone? Anemones? I think it is. And they're stinging. Whoops! And there's stinging that happens whenever they are touched, and they actually make the... I think it's an anemone. I digress, I'm so sorry. So yeah. Although simple in nature, let's go ahead and do this fin. It's a lot smaller than what I've depicted. Go ahead and do this. Again, simple shapes, so I can go back and I can do some of these details. And this fin right here starts right about there. Comes around. Simple shape. Kind of frayed a little bit, and then you've got the structure of the fin right here. Okay. Anyway, clownfish, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to make an adjustment, and I'll do that in post really quick. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. A little bit. The thing is whenever you're translating a 3D figure into 2D, there can be a challenge because there's a lot of, obviously, I'm dealing with form, so translating it into simple line work is not easy, because there is that moment where you're like, wait a minute, isn't he 3D? So your mind's like, ugh, trying to get all the things right, the forms right, as it pertains to the character design. Yeah, it can be a challenge for sure. But we're good. I think we can handle it, right? You can handle it. I can handle it. Okay. Nemo. So we're going to go ahead and flatten to the E. And we're going to go T, because I think he's a little bit... There we go. And that is Nemo from Finding. It's going to get a little bit of shadowing. Get rid of that. Yeah, what a fun character. A little obstinate. I know better than you, Dad. Why do you keep treating me like a baby? Which he was right, but also massively disrespectful to his dad. Sometimes I look at that and I'm like, there's so many different ways to go about the correction. His dad was a little heavy-handed, of course, but whew, what a moment. It could have turned out so much worse. He could have been eaten. The way the movie actually transpired. I'm gonna do whatever I want, Dad. Gobble gobble. Done. No movie. That's how it happens in the real world, Nemo. And that's Nemo. Let's move on to Dory. Okay, moving on to the next character is Dory. I kept wondering, because I actually forgotten what the name of Nemo's dad was, and it's Marlin, so please forgive me for that indiscretion. We are now going to create a drawing of Dory. Dory, voiced by the ever hilarious Ellen DeGeneres. I remember her back in the 80s when she was a stand-up comic before she got famous. And she was famous back then, and she was hilarious. She's got that deadpan, sort of serious nature to her voice, but also it almost is childlike. It's phenomenal. Her voice, the way she does things, is amazing. You can say whatever you want about the rest of her, but I think she's got an incredible voice for animation. And it's proved by these characters that are voiced by her, especially this one. This one is just a delight. There are quite a few movies in the universe of Finding Nemo. The first one, the second one. Is there a third one? I don't know. I can't remember. I liked them. I liked them all. The one I got to work on, product-wise, product design-wise, was the second one. Of course, the characters didn't so much change as they did add characters, and one of them was that octopus. I think his name was Hank. Oh, I loved Hank. He was a delight. I'm an octopus guy. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Octopus, squid, they are amazing creatures. If you haven't watched, of course I keep referring back to documentaries because I'm a nerd. I love learning, I love documentaries, I love experiencing nature in a way that is just visceral and real. And yeah, one of the most frightening creatures in the ocean, and I think I've said this before, is the Humboldt squid. If you do not know anything about the Humboldt squid, they call it the red devil. It is a super hyper intelligent squid that grows to be about 150 pounds. And they are pack hunters, and similar like velociraptors, and they are super aggressive. They actually are cannibalistic as well, and opportunistic, and they are a very big threat to divers as well as anything else in the ocean that they want. If they want it, they pack hunt together to get it. And they've got these incredibly powerful suckers, and they've got like a beak that is super hard that can basically chop your fingers off. And their suckers are round, and you think they're like, oh, you can just pull the suckers off, but there's teeth inside the suckers. So they are really, really dangerous to divers in general. And yeah, I watch those programs and I'm like, I'm never going in the ocean again. I kid, but no, that's real. I'm genuinely, sometimes I look at that and I'm like, why do we need Humboldt squids? And then I read that there could possibly be a giant Humboldt squid. That to me is nightmare fuel. So what I'm doing now, again, is ironing out the overall design of the character. Trying to get everything lined up. Trying to get the characterization right. Trying to get the eyes corrected. Now, whenever they do create movies, there is a stage to which there is traditional drawing. So you have character design. Not everything is quote-unquote designed in the computer. You have to actually create something on paper beforehand. And I remember watching the making of Finding Nemo and watching one of the character designers designing, I think it was Marlin. And what a fun process that must have been. So don't think that drawing is going by the wayside for computer generated images. You always have to have some type of pencil to paper or digital format like this to kind of flesh things out, because doing this is fast, it's intuitive in terms of creating, because I'm not having to go through code, and creating and drawing is essential, in my opinion, in the creative process. Like whenever I design a toy, I typically will do things traditionally first. Like whenever I design stuff for Star Wars and products for Star Wars, I did a whole slew of designs for the product, and believe it or not, I couldn't keep any of them. I had to go, they were property of Walt Disney and Lucasfilm Archive, and all that stuff got taken from me. And I'm like, can I just take a picture of it? No, I can't take a picture of it. Okay. So, it is what it is, I guess. So, again, Dory being a more simple character. See how I did that? This is kind of like the line of action for the fins. And I get placement of the fins, like right there. And I use that as kind of that action really shows me that gesture. It's kind of like a gesture line. And that helps me keep things lively. That's one of the things that I really struggled with, I think, early on, is trying to make things perfect. And a lot of times you need to look at the essence of the pose and get the essence of the pose first, because then you can go back, like I just did with Nemo, and reaffirm some of those elements as it pertains to the character. So now we're going to go, I'm going to put some dark here. Okay. Yeah. A lot of characters in Finding Nemo. I mean, golly, they had... Obviously, we're going to talk about Bruce, because Bruce is hilarious. The shark that's trying to give up fish. I don't understand what he's going to eat. Fish are friends, not food. Actually, according to all the documentaries that I watched, pretty much anything is food pertaining to a shark. He'll eat anything. Tiger sharks, the garbage cans of the sea. They will eat tires, license plates, and even they found a suit of armor inside of a tiger shark. And I'm like, really? And then I watched, they said when a great white attacks a human, over 90% of the time, the attack is fatal because of the size of the shark. If you get attacked by a bull shark, probably you're not going to die, depending on the intensity of the bite. But you get attacked by a great white shark, chances are you're going to die because of the size of the shark. And that is, whew. I watched a video a while back of a woman, she was a teacher, and she talked about not going into the ocean because you're basically going into the shark's house. Don't you go off into the ocean. You going in the shark's house. You going on his dinner plate. And I'm like, yeah, but I like the ocean. Yeah, but you gonna get eat. And I'm like, what? She was very funny. I really enjoyed her. right now, just putting some of the finishing touches. Okay, so that is Dory. I love drawing fish. Probably because they're so, I don't want to say easy, but it's a simplified form. You've got simplified anatomy, although the fins can be somewhat complex. It's not overwhelming, and that's nice. If you are on the fence about drawing fish, I definitely encourage you to try it. They are fun. They are fun for sure. Yeah. Let's move on to the last drawing. And here we are on the last character. I was kind of conflicted because there's a myriad of different characters, from Crush to Squirt to Marlin. Marlin's very similar to Nemo, and I didn't want to draw him. So I decided to do one of my favorite characters, and that is Bruce. Bruce, of course, being the great white shark that basically talks about him being a reformed carnivore. And he's saying fish are friends, not food, which is for me, quite ridiculous. Fish are food. And fish are delicious. I'm an avid fish eater, of course. I'm a omnivore because I eat a myriad of vegetables as well as selected meats here and there, because the older I get, I try to stay away from certain foods that trigger my belly. My belly is a little bit more sensitive than it used to be, unfortunately. And I can't eat anything I want anymore, and that kind of sucks. Back in the day, I could eat anything. I was invincible. That's what happens when you're younger. You get this perception of invincibility, and then suddenly you get older, and you can't drink milk. And I'm like, I love milk. Could you imagine? I mean, just from, let's just take a moment. You drank milk all your life, and now you can't. That kind of was a big deal for me. Now you're like, well, just take whatever you call those things, the pills where you can have lactose. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but it doesn't, I still hurt, right? There's still, it subsides some of the pain, but those don't get rid of the issue completely, unfortunately. And yeah, I really have to watch what I eat now, and that's kind of like, back in the day I could eat anything. So yeah. Anyway, as I get off on a tangent there, because that's typically what I do, tangents. Trying to get his mouth right is going to be a challenge, because Bruce's mouth is, he's got this handsome smile. And it's full of teeth. So my propensity in my being, as I'm sure that some of you have the same thing, is to draw every single tooth. And gosh, that's a lot of freaking teeth. Just to kind of give you context there. Let's go here. It kind of goes up like that. Probably right there. And then it comes back, and there's the other part of his eye, and that kind of runs into this section right there. Right? They've done some interesting things with his anatomy here, as I'm sure they had to, just to be able to pull it off, to make it look right. But if you start looking at it in simple terms, a lot of the places are connected. So you have these looks like nose area. They do have nostrils and they do smell things. And I think they said sharks can smell blood and like, it's some ridiculous. They can smell a drop of blood in 50 billion gallons of water. And they can smell blood in space. What? That doesn't sound right. I'm sure some of that has to be true. It was on the inner tubes. What is the inner tubes? It's that box that you carry in your pockets, the inner tubes. Oh, the internet. I'm sure none of what you just said is true. Okay, that's fine. Anyway. Bruce. So they have these sensors, and they are super sensitive. Electromagnetic fields is really their area of expertise. So it'd be funny if you created a shark character and he was an electrician. That makes sense. Because they deal in electromagnetic fields. Got these sensors all over their nose and frontal area that allows them to sense the magnetic fields of animals and fish. So we're creating his mouth. His mouth kind of comes in like that, and then it comes around like so. And you see that I've got this line right here. This line does not exist on the actual character, but it helps me formulate where stuff is because it goes all the way down. He's got a big, yeah, I have to move him. And it comes up. It goes around like that. Okay. So we're going to shrink him just a skosh because we can. Photoshop, you're welcome. Thank you, and you're welcome. Okay. So we can draw his teeth like that. Okay. Head kind of comes up because he's got that eye ridge, and then it flattens out, and then you have the other eye ridge that comes around. And you got this lateral line. Comes here. And then this comes down. I'm kind of avoiding this area right now. Anyway. Okay, the other side I can't see, and then that comes down like that. Sometimes it's okay to just draw it in, and if it doesn't work out, you can change the placement. More times than not, your initial kind of gut reaction, gut feeling is correct. I mean, I've seen Bruce before, so I know what he looks like. I've never drawn Bruce, but I'm feeling pretty good. Okay, so then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 gills. 6 gills are reserved for ancient sharks like your Greenland sharks and such, and some of your deeper creatures. 6 gill. Okay. Let's go ahead. He's got that. He must have been a joy to draw and animate. And then, of course, we come to his teeth. Again, not making them too, because they're on the bottom. Whew, there's a lot of teeth on the bottom. I don't know if I'm going to do all those, because there's rows and rows and rows of teeth, and we'll just go ahead and color that in. Shade that in a little bit. You get the indication of teeth. I'll go ahead and tie down some of these areas really quick like. Okay, and then you've got this colorization that comes here, and it goes on his belly. Okay, comes up and around, and then the rest of him is shaded. Now, I did watch something recently that actually kind of blew my mind because, again, nerd. I love documentaries. I love learning about animals. And they indicated, and this was a study, that the sharks have an ability, even though they don't have chromatophores, which is what squid and other types of octopi and squid and stuff, they can change their color. They've got these little, they contract and they do this, and that's how they change color. And they said that based upon environment and intenseness, certain sharks, and they were, I believe, reviewing great whites, can change their color slightly. And I thought that was ridiculous, but they showed it. And I'm like, so now, not only can they eat you, they can be camouflaged while doing it. What? Yeah, I'm telling you, if you get into that zone where you're kind of bored with life in general, pick up a couple documentaries. Right? I mean, whew. Especially certain animals, sort of like snakes and insects, and oh my gosh, it's just phenomenal. So much you can learn from the world around us. A couple wrinkles down here. Now, what I would do in this situation, obviously, is we're going to go ahead and get rid of this construction line because it's irritating. The best that we can. We're not going to go too far in. We'll just shore these up a little bit. But now you understand the simplistic nature of these characters makes them fun to draw. You have good success and you don't get frustrated. So that's pretty much where I wanted to land with you guys today. Let's go ahead and give him some eye shine. Eye shine. Yeah. So much fun. Let's go ahead and shore up this fin. Right here. It's got black right here. And black right here. Hopefully I'm at least getting some of this correct. Alright. Very nice. So, that's all I had for you guys today. Hopefully you liked the session today. Drawing characters from Finding Nemo. Not sure where I'm going to land tomorrow. We'll see. But in the meantime, go out and do something fun. Start your month. What is your month going to be? You can start with animals, you can start with simple shapes, you can start with creatures, you can start with whatever. Pick a subject, start drawing something small every single day, or every other day, or whenever you have time, and at the end of the month, you'll have something that you didn't have before. You'll have an improvement, you'll have muscle memory, and you'll have the artwork that you can surround yourself with, or give, or whatever. So that's all I had for you guys today, and we'll see you next time. All right? Bye.